I got a call of a disturbance, two men fighting on the street. And it was early in the morning, about 2 in the morning or so, 3 in the morning. And my partner and I got to the scene of the call. They gave us an address. So we got to that address. And I proceeded to see a man running down the street with an axe in the back of his head.
Jim, thank you for being here today. By way of an introduction, I wanted to provide a brief overview of your law enforcement career. You started with the Chicago Police Department in 1989. As a patrol officer, you patrolled and protected Chicago's at-risk neighborhoods for 9 years. In 1998, you were promoted to detective and assigned to the Financial Crimes Unit. As part of that assignment, you were detailed to the Illinois State Police Ruse Burglary Task Force from 2012 to 2018. You retired from the Chicago Police Department in 2018. After your retirement from CPD, you served as an officer with the Lake County Forest Preserve Police, as well as the Illinois Commerce Commission Police. You left law enforcement in 2022. Jim, thank you for agreeing to share your story.
Thank you.
So tell me why you decided to pursue a career in law enforcement, and why did you choose the Chicago Police Department?
I chose law enforcement because I know it's corny, but I wanted to help people. I felt that I could actually help somebody, more than one person, but there was a lot of people that were out in the public that needed help, and I thought I could help them. And I chose Chicago because I'm originally from Chicago, and hometown boy, and I took the test in 1985, and I got hired in 1989.
So tell me a little bit about the Chicago Police Department. I know it's one of the biggest agencies in the country. Can you just kind of tell me a little bit about it and the functions that it has within?
Chicago Police Department is structured into districts. Each in the different parts of the city, you have districts, not precincts. A lot of people think it's like New York. It's not. It's districts, and each district is different. One district might be managed differently than the other district. Probably is. And then when I made detective, there were 5 areas. The city was divided into 5 areas. Now I believe it's back to 5. It went to 3 for a short time. Now it's back to 5. And in each area is certain areas of the city. A detective division would cover certain areas of the city. I was assigned to the west side, area 5. It was located at Granite Central. It's back there again. They reopened the office. And when Area 5 closed and it consolidated the detective divisions, I went to Area 3. I was assigned to Area 3, but I actually never went to Area 3. I went straight to the State Police Task Force in 2012.
This episode is brought to you by the 555 Group.
Looking for top-tier security solutions backed by real experience? The 555 Group, founded by seasoned law enforcement professionals, delivers elite security services tailored to your needs. With expertise in risk assessment, executive protection, and site security, they provide unmatched professionalism and reliability. Whether safeguarding businesses, events, or individuals, the 555 Group ensures safety with precision and integrity. Trust the experts. Trust the 555 Group.
So talk about, you get hired by the Chicago Police Department, you go to the police academy. Talk a little bit about the police academy the Chicago PD runs.
The police academy was, I thought it was beneficial to me. At that time, you're on probation for a year. I think it's 2 years now. It used to be located on Jackson in the city. I don't know if they built a new academy. They were talking about building a new academy. But yeah, you go through, if you want to break down of what you do, you got arms, weapons instruction, self-defense instruction, instruction on how to use computers and police software and paperwork, how to fill out paperwork, and also, of course, physical ability. You take PT every day, run upstairs, you run outside if it's nice outside, get in the weight room, start working out.
So do you live there or do you commute, and how long is it? Do you remember?
No, Chicago Police Academy is a commute academy.
Okay. So you graduate from the academy, And where do you go after that when you graduate? What's your first assignment?
Yeah, I graduated from the academy, and my first assignment was they sent me to the 7th District, but that's on the south side. But I moved. I'm originally from the south side of Chicago, so I moved, and I notified them that I moved up on the north side. So they sent me to the 14th District, which is Humboldt Park, and that was my first station.
So that's interesting. So they try and make it somewhat convenient for you based on where you're living?
Yes.
Oh, that's actually surprising to me. That's nice that they make that effort to make it a little bit easier for you. So do you remember your first day, your first week on the job?
I do.
What was that like?
First call was a guy was high on PCP, and he was on the second floor balcony, and he was naked, and he refused to come down. He was violent, very combative, yelling and screaming. So one of the guys I was with, another officer, a seasoned officer, old timer as we say, baited him down from the stairs. So you don't want to go up the stairs and be on a second floor balcony with some crazy guy. So baited him down, and we're able to take him into custody, handcuff him, and bring him to the station, give him some clothes and Tyvek service outfit.
So was that was during your field training program?
Yes.
So what's field training like?
You're a field training officer, FTO for short, is assigned to you, and he's with you until you're done with your field training. And you're not allowed to operate a squad car by yourself for the first year while you're on probation. Now it's 2 years, but when I was working, it was 1 year. And so you were assigned to FTO, and you had to be with the FTO for 4 to 6 weeks. And then after you're done with the FTO, you flip-flopped around from one person to another, and but you still weren't allowed to work by yourself.
Did you stay in the same district or rotate districts as well?
I stayed in my first year. I was in the 14th district. The day after I got off probation, they sent me to the 15th district. They being the city police department.
So you go to the 15th district, and at that point you're on your own, but you're still in a 2-person squad car. Is that accurate? Once you complete field training?
When you complete field training, you work by yourself.
You work by yourself.
They call it 99.
Okay.
2-person unit, 10-4 unit, but
okay.
Chicago it's 99 unit. On the west side, they try to put you as 2-person cars all the time, except on days. Once in a while, you might work by yourself. When I got hired, every 28 days we rotated. So when we're on days, sometimes I got to work by myself because I was off probation. But on afternoons or midnights, most of the time, 99, the vast majority of the time, you were working with somebody.
So describe the area or the district that you're assigned to. What are some of the common calls? What's the area like? Kind of the socioeconomic makeup. Is it an affluent area? Is it more an economically depressed area?
The first district I was in, the 14th district, is Humboldt Park. It's heavily Hispanic. It's not affluent at all, but you have most of the people there have jobs. So I mean, they were working. They're blue collar people. When I went to the 15th district, that's mostly a black district. So that was like a culture shock to me to be put on the west side. And but the people there were very nice. They appreciated the police, and they wanted you there. Although news media tells a different story. The people that live there want the police there, and they were appreciative that you were there and trying to help them out.
So how long did you spend in patrol?
I was in patrol almost 9 years.
Any memorable traffic stops from your time in patrol?
Oh yeah, when I transferred from the 15th district to the 20th district, which is along the lakefront, uptown area, there was a series of robberies that occurred, and at the time there was a show on TV in living color, and one of the characters was Homie the Clown. And the robber, he committed a lot of robberies, but he was dressed as Homie the Clown. So we were instructed to pull over, if we see Homie the Clown driving, to pull over Homie the Clown. I was on Broadway, and of course, right next to me, I see Homie the Clown driving. So I pulled him over, and I asked for assistance, and the poor guy was going to a Halloween party. So I just told him, you're dressed, this time, you shouldn't be dressed as Homie the Clown. Wrong time to be dressed as Homie the Clown. So I let him go.
Was Homie the Clown ever captured?
Yes,
ever
he was
arrested?
eventually, yeah. Yeah. He was committing so many robberies that it was just a matter of time before he got grabbed.
Any insight? Did anybody say, hey, why'd you choose Homie the Clown as your disguise?
It was popular back then.
Yeah.
The show was popular, so a lot of people watched it. So he was dressed as Homie the Clown, and it was pretty common to get a Homie the Clown costume. So
That's funny. That's funny. Any other traffic stops that stick out in your mind over the course of your career?
yeah, some I don't want to discuss. Yeah, I mean, there was one, the typical Chicago incident, especially on the weekends. On a nice summer night, you pull somebody over that's driving erratically means in and out of lanes, blow a stop sign or blow a red light. Well, he was having, his girlfriend was having oral sex with him, so that's why he was driving all over the street. So I kind of ignored that, but yeah, that was interesting.
Any incidents during your time as a patrol officer that you responded to that may have been particularly stressful or unusual?
Yeah, there were several. I was working, like I said earlier, we rotated every 28 days, and we were on midnights at that time, and I got a call of a disturbance. Two men fighting on the street, and it was early in the morning, about 2 in the morning or so, 3 in the morning, and my partner and I got to the scene of the call. They gave us an address, so we got to that address, and I proceeded to see a man running down the street with an axe in the back of his head. It was buried in the back of a hand axe, buried in the back of his head, and he was running after another guy. So we took him aside, told him stop, police, and he proceeded to tell us the guy he was chasing was his brother, and his brother put the axe in the back of his head during a feud. So we, of course, got medical attention for the man, but he didn't seem fazed by the axe being buried in the back of his head. So that was one. I mean, I could keep on going if you want me to.
Yeah, if you got any others, sure.
There was another incident, a disturbance on California, and I think it was Fullerton. It was either Fullerton or Armitage. And another hot summer night. Hot summer nights are the worst, or holidays. People get stupid then. So disturbance was a man chasing his wife down the street. All right, when we got there, he had shorts on, and he was indeed chasing his wife down the street with a lawnmower. He was trying to run her over because he caught her cheating. So we had to arrest him and process him, but he was fighting with us when we were trying to put him in a squad car, and he hit his head, and he got a little cut on his head, and he was bleeding. So in the 14th district, that was in Humboldt Park in the 14th district, the watch commander's office is right by the back door where the police come in. So we were walking in, and the lieutenant that was working that day, I'm not going to get personal, but he got up and came out of his office and asked, what happened to you? And I had blood on my shirt, and my partner had blood on his shirt, and we were all messed up because we were fighting with this guy. And we thought he was talking to us. He said, no, shut up, I'm talking to him. He was talking to the offender. So the offender said, oh, they roughed me up, they beat me up, which we didn't do. And but that was the end of that story. That's all I'm going to say.
So he's running down the street with like a push lawnmower.
Yeah, push lawnmower.
Trying to
run her over, yeah.
Holy smokes. Doesn't seem like the most effective.
Full speed.
Any other incidents that come to mind during your patrol time?
I could be here for days. Been here about a lot of I was actually coming back from gas. I didn't get the call, but I was coming back from gas. I was in the 20th district, which is uptown, and we had to go through the 23rd district to get back to the 20th district. And I was passing by, it was at Lawrence and Marine Drive. And so I see a commotion, people were gathering, and you know something's going on. Some people, police, wave me down. So a rape just occurred. And so I called it in, switched radios because we had two different zones. Police zone is usually two different districts in Chicago, and our zone didn't cover the 23rd. Hers was the 20th and the 24th districts. So I switched over to 23rd, told them, you know, I'm here at the scene, get an ambulance. I got a description, put the flash message out, and then when a 23rd district car got there, I proceeded to go around and try to find the offender. I got a pretty good description because there were witnesses too. And actually found the offender. He was walking southbound along the lakefront. Brought him back, got him ID'd. He got charged, and he raped her with a broom handle.
Was there a relation there? Did he know, or were just complete strangers? You don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. So at some point, you're in patrol officer for about 9 years, and there's an opportunity to test to become a detective. Is it a testing process or is it an appointment?
No, it's a testing process. It's actually a rank promotion in Chicago. So when you make detective, you're a detective.
So you test for detective and you're selected, and you become a detective, and you're assigned where?
I was assigned to Area 5. That was my choice. Mm-hmm. At the time, there was a great commander there. John Thomas was his name. Real good guy to work for, and I wanted to work for him. So he came. I was still in the academy. I was still in the academy for detective training. Mm-hmm. And he came to the academy and asked if anybody wanted to work for him. And of course, I and another guy that got promoted with me, I was working with him in the same district, which is the 25th district on the west side. So we wanted to work together, and we talked to John Thomas, and he brought us into Area 5. He requested us, and he asked us if we wanted to do financial crimes. Sure, said it was the start of my financial crimes.
So let's back up just a minute, because you brought something up that I never knew. There's a detective academy?
Yeah.
And how long is that? And what does it cover?
I forgot how long it was, but it was several months.
Oh, wow.
And report writing. A lot of it was report writing, how to do crime scenes, meaning how do you block off a crime scene,
right.
Tape it off, inventories, a lot of inventories. For instance, if there was a shooting, how to inventory, keep the crime scene pristine.
Sure.
Until you can get an ET out there, an evidence technician, to process the crime scene, or a member of the crime lab. And if you get somebody out there but you ever see those the pictures or videos of Chicago police, and they got little cones, or that's what you seal up the crime scene, you leave the cones there. I mean, the shell casings, if there was a shooting, or if there was a knife used in an attack, you leave the knife there until you get pictures taken, it gets processed. And another thing about the detective school was how to do inventories, how to submit them, to get fingerprint analysis, handwriting analysis done. And when it came to me, I was doing financial crimes, so I had to get to know people that did handwriting analysis comparison. So how to submit that, how to get that done.
That's interesting. So you get assigned, and are you partnered with someone, and is that kind of a more senior detective, if that's the case, or how does it work? What is the I guess the on-the-job training part of being a detective?
For the first few weeks after you make detective and you get assigned to an area, they pair you with a FTD, a field training detective.
Okay.
And I was fortunate enough to be paired with man by the name of Louis Rabbit. Louis was old school. He was part of the O.J. Simpson investigation in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
He actually handled the investigation in Chicago and the Chicago part of it. And but Louis was old school, great guy, and he was some, I don't know, 20-something degree black belt in whatever he had. He actually went to Japan to finish his black belts because I guess outside Japan, you can only go up to a certain level, but you have to go to Japan to obtain 20-something levels, which he was. And I actually saw him put somebody down. He touched on his neck, point. There's a point there. And he touched him on his neck, and the guy fell down like a sack of potatoes.
Wow.
So, but poor Louis, he passed away of MS. Yeah.
So talk about the financial crimes unit. What kind of cases did you investigate as part of that unit? And are there any cases that stand out?
Oh, yeah, a lot of cases. The types of cases we handled were anything to do with pretty much money. I mean, it sounds what it is, financial related cases, bank fraud. My specialty was mortgage fraud. I was sent to school 2 weeks at Northwest School of Public Safety at Northwestern University. And we also went to training with the IRS, FBI, and Secret Service, but the FBI, they just followed everybody else pretty much. But the training was very good. And we would investigate a lot of the big financial investigations where banks, somebody was stealing a lot of money, compromising accounts. When I say compromising accounts, somebody would take over your account or get into your account. There's various ways of doing it, but they get access to your money in your account. Or when I was doing mortgage fraud, they would take your identity and they proceed to either get a quitclaim deed, to get ownership of a house, or they would get a loan against a house. And there's various ways of doing financial crimes. So it was very paper heavy. Almost every one of my cases was tons of paperwork. And a lot of the investigations took a long time to complete because you had to do a lot of subpoenas to obtain the documentation, especially from financial institutions.
So any particular cases, big cases, large dollar amounts that you investigated that stand out in your memory, or maybe just a particularly heart-wrenching story of someone that was victimized?
Well, I can say it now. I'm retired. I came into work one morning, and it's personal, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
I came into work one morning, and on my desk was a Chicago Tribune newspaper, and front page was Chicago detective, to shorten it, Chicago detective tells victim of mortgage fraud to change her identity, maybe get a plastic surgery, and move out of state, if not out of the country. And I did handle the case. It was my case. I proceeded to serve a lot of subpoenas. Luckily, I worked with a state's attorney. I'm not going to disclose names, but I worked with a very good state's attorney, Cook County state's attorney, and we worked together on the case until I got in trouble. It wasn't my fault, but the commander I was working for at the time decided to send, to put me with doing domestic violence cases. So the case was put on the back burner because it was my case. And shortly thereafter, I come into work and I have this newspaper article, Chicago Detective, and that was meant for me. So I got called down to the superintendent's office to explain my actions and why I said this. Of course, I denied it. I didn't say those things. I worked on a case. I had a big file, and I disclosed the name of the state's attorney I was working with. Luckily, he was working closely with me on the case because he basically saved me, saved my career. And it turned out the person that actually said that to the victim was an FBI agent.
Oh.
She actually did say that. And I met the FBI agent because we were working with the FBI on this case because in Cook County, they have dedicated state's attorneys, financial crime state's attorneys. So one of the state's attorneys told me, let's have a meeting and we're going to include the FBI. So that's when I met the FBI agent that actually said it to the victim.
Told the victim to get plastic surgery and leave the country?
Well, to at least leave Illinois.
Yeah.
Move out of Illinois. Change your identity, move out of Illinois.
Change your identity.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, not plastic surgery. Change your identity.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And the victim actually, when somebody did their homework and like I'm supposed to, but they didn't, when they accused me of, I mean, I could have went to jail for this. They actually interviewed the victim who had 13 properties. She was brand new out of college.
Okay.
So she had 13 properties taken in her name. And it was in excess of $2 million worth of properties. And there were gangbangers from Lansing, Illinois that did it. I had them identified. Unfortunately, my commander, whatever, he got mad at me. So the case was suspended until I came back. But, I mean, it was a great case. Eventually, there was an arrest made by a different FBI agent. So, yeah.
How long were you investigating domestics before you came back to financial crimes?
It was almost a year.
Wow.
It was almost a year.
So at some point, you end up on this Ruse Burglary Task Force. Talk about that, how that happens, and the work that you did there.
Well, when I made detective, my other hat that I wore was Ruse Burglaries, which is gypsy burglaries, Eastern European travelers. And I was given that task in Area 5. And then I was pretty successful doing it. And so other commanders of other areas would ask me to help out. Then other agencies would ask me to help out. Elmwood Park, Elmhurst, out here. And so I got around, and this is before the task force, the state police task force got started. An opportunity arose when Area 5 was closing. And the chief of detectives called me and said that he was contacted by a colonel from the state police and they wanted to put a task force together. We were trying for years. I worked closely with the state police before the task force got off the ground. And for years we were trying to get something together. Joint agency, Lake counties. It was all going to be under an umbrella of the state police. So finally there was an opportunity, and got together with the state and an MOU, I don't know what it stands for, basically it's a contract. And it was signed by Gary McCarthy, who used to be a superintendent of police in Chicago. And I was sent to the state police on loan, but I also had to double up. I had to go into Chicago, and I had to take care of my cases in Chicago. That was the agreement that was made. And I worked at Arlington and Holman, which is my new office, after Area 5 closed. And but I was assigned cases in Chicago. I had to take care of the cases, but I was a representative from Chicago on that task force.
So you were still doing financial crime cases while working Ruse burglary cases?
Yes.
Wow.
I used to average at one period about 1,000 cases a year, and most of them were going nowhere.
Yeah.
They were just information. People were told, you have to report this to the police. I get the case, and there's nothing. Usual response, there's nothing I could do. Some of them you could actually work up, and maybe 20%.
So as part of that Ruse burglary task force, you had to. I'm sure that at times it was just devastating, the people that are victimized and what they go through. Is there a case that you can kind of talk about where specifically what happened and the impact it had on the victims?
Yeah, there are several. Most of the time, the victims that were targeted were elderly people. So you constantly had your heart out with these people. I mean, their houses were spotless. You walk in, these people are 80 years old, but they were old school. They kept their houses clean, very friendly, very nice. They let anybody in, which was a mistake. That's why they were victims. I I always told them, I used to do presentations. And when I did the presentation, I told them, keep your door locked. And if you have any doubts, somebody knocks on the door and says they're from whatever, the water department, ask for ID. But if you have any doubt, you call the police. Some police officer will arrive and check that person's credentials. Don't open the door. Just don't open the door. That's good advice to have. Yeah, I mean, there's so many that I felt sorry for these people. Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot.
Typically, what are they stealing from them?
Typically, anything that they could get their hands on, typically it was money or jewelry. Electronics they wouldn't take unless, most of the time they wouldn't take electronics or money. And I actually had cases that were non-gypsy related. They were mimics. They were mimicking what gypsies did because it was an easy crime to get away with. You're dealing with an old person that probably can't identify these people. They saw them again. No fingerprints, they wore gloves. Neighbors might have been home, might not have been, probably not paying attention. Sometimes you really got a good neighbor watching what's going on with the next door neighbor. And that was what we wanted. Most of my cases that I got arrested on were because of neighbors. And there's so many times that the one mimic case was, it was actually, I did financial exploitation case because it was financial related. And it was one case where she was a caregiver. She was a paid caregiver. The poor man was a B-29 pilot in World War II. He was 90 plus. I forgot what age. He was over 90 years old. And he was living in feces on a bed covered with feces and urine when we got there. There was an outcry witness that said they haven't seen him leave and they haven't seen her, they haven't seen the caregiver in days. So you call them busybodies, but because of this witness, we were actually able to make an arrest. So it was non-gypsy related. It was, the caregiver was just taking the money, didn't help this man at all. He was living in, I mean, it was totally disgusting. It's hard to describe because you just can't imagine something like that. Went to court. She had actually gave me a handwritten statement to a state's attorney. The state's attorney was present. Cook County, I don't know. I'm sure it's probably the same in all the counties in Illinois. Or if somebody gives you a mission, they want to make a statement, then a state's attorney would come out and handwrite that statement out. And she gave us a 10-page, the offender gave us a 10-page statement admitting everything. Went to court, and finally, after about a year, went to trial. And I don't know why it took so long. You have a handwritten admission, it shouldn't take that long. Well, we found out later on that her brother went to law school with the judge. She was let off on every charge.
Wow.
Every charge.
Wow.
All the charges were felonies.
And as a result, no restitution to the victim, I'm sure, right?
No. He passed away shortly after. Yeah. I mean, I got another story if you want me to tell it. There was the West Side used to be heavily Jewish and Irish of Chicago. And got another case. It was the next door neighbor actually called. It was an old Jewish lady that lived there. She was born in this house. And when you went into the house, it was like a time warp. Parquet floors, big, ornate staircase. But it was old. She had 2 dogs. They were pooping all over the place and spider webs. But she, we got her, we took her to the hospital, and the witness said that they call them tinkers, they're Irish gypsies. And they scammed her out of, in total, after we got it done, that we found bank accounts and everything was $1.5 million. And that was excluding the house too. So she was 90, she was in her 90s. We actually got her placed into a nursing home in Elmwood Park on Grand Avenue. I know she passed away some time ago, but this was just a long time ago anyway. But Yeah, we ended up making an arrest on that, and yeah, I mean, I felt good about that. It was more feeling about that case because these guys were bad as bad can be, and she was blind, and it was horrible situation. But you felt good about that. You asked me why I joined the police department. You feel good then. You go home, you lay your head on the bed and say, "Wow, I did something today." You know, as a police officer, it's hard to say that every day, going out there and same grind. People don't like you. I don't care what anybody says. People don't like you. They got a grudge against the police. Why are you here? What are you doing here? Are you here to arrest me? No. But that made me feel good.
So talk about what's a typical ruse that these gypsies use to commit their crimes.
I don't know if I should get into that too much.
Generally speaking, if you were trying to give somebody a heads up, hey, this is what you look for.
Okay. In my presentations, it would be home repair, which is very common, and then the distraction. Two different types of crime. The distraction would be somebody knocks on a door and tries to get the person that answered the door, the victim, outside. You know, say, "Oh, we're here to your chimney is falling off falling apart. Can you come outside for a minute?" And when that victim, who's usually elderly, can't move very fast, eyesight is not as good as it used to be, goes outside, another offender would go in the house. They call him the searcher. They're compensated very well within that group, that criminal group. The searchers usually compensated very well because they find the jewelry and money, and they do it fast.
Okay.
So that's the distraction. The home repair fraud is exactly what they come to your door and they say, "Hey, your concrete's falling apart. Mice are chewing on your concrete," some nonsense. And we could do your stairs. You give us $500,000, and then we'll come back with a seal coat, put the seal coat on for another $500,000, and it falls apart. As soon as you water it, it comes right off. Another one's car repair. They'll put toothpaste on the car. We could repair your car, instead of using Bondo or some other repair type of equipment or whatever, types of putty. They use toothpaste mixed with a hardener, which could be a glue, super glue or whatever, but that will flake off. Eventually it will come off. It's toothpaste.
Wow. So during the course of your career, has there ever been a time where you got that feeling where something just isn't right with that, kind of the hair standing on the back of your neck?
Yeah. During my time doing domestics, I was assigned to work with another detective on what we call them hotline cases from the state. Hotline cases would be something like an endangered minor. It would be most of the time it would be anonymous. They call it into the state, and the state would send it to the respective agency where the crime was supposed to be committed. In this case, it was Chicago. We got the hotline case. My partner and I went to a location and knocked on a door. They let us in, and it turned out to be a tattoo parlor, a home, cottage-like industry tattoo parlor. And then we asked the guy, "We're so-and-so." We had the name of the offender. And she was supposed to be abusing her kids, her two kids. So we're looking for her and in the house. And then he said, "Oh, I think she lives in the front area." So we went to the front area looking for her, and she was asleep on the bed. So, and the two kids were watching TV. One was very young, the other one's a little older. So they're both are young kids. So like, "No, we're not going, we gotta wake her up." Talked to her. I inspected the kids, found out that took both to the hospital. They had cigarette burns on their heads. It was a bad scene. She proceeded, they wanted food and water, something to drink, and the tattoo parlor had nothing to do with her. There's two separate. So we arrested her. She admitted everything. She didn't do much time in jail. And but she proceeded to she admitted that when the little guys, the two boys, came in to ask for food or mommy, give me food. She was either high or drunk. She grabbed him by the head, lit a cigarette, burned him. One had over 20 burns on his scalp. After that, we took him to hospital and doctor shaved his head. So.
Wow. Was there someone that, when you look back on your career, you consider them to be a mentor to you, or someone maybe who, the way they did the job, you wanted to emulate that?
Yeah, there were a couple. There were more than a couple. There was quite a few guys that I looked up to, watched what they taught, and then you watch what they do. In Chicago, things move so fast that you got to pay attention. Mm-hmm. So, on average, you get 40 or 50 calls a day. In one of the they call them faster districts. Those are the ones you get a lot of calls. And there were quite a few good officers. Most of them are gone now. So that pool of experienced, good police officers is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there were a lot. I don't want to pin on one guy or another guy or woman, but there were so many that you just, like, it was situational. You were called to a domestic, for instance, and this person handled it like, wow, I learned from that.
Sure. Yeah. What are some of your best memories about the job?
There were a lot of good people that I worked with, and the feeling of satisfaction. It was rare to have that feeling of total satisfaction when you went home, but when you had it, it felt good. And you're like, wow, that made you keep on going, made you go back to work the next day. So I was saying to yourself, well, I could keep on going, I could keep on helping people, and that was satisfying. Like I said, it was rare. There were many days where it was just run of the mill. Every day was the same. It was just a blur. Like, oh, this thing, these people are complaining. They got themselves in it was their own stupidity or greed, because I did financial crimes. There was a lot of greed, and they got themselves in these jams, and they call me, and I'm supposed to help them out. Well, yeah.
So at some point, you decide to retire from the Chicago Police Department. Talk about that a little bit. What made you decide to retire?
Well, when's a good time? Mm-hmm. I was offered jobs before I retired in 2018. I was offered jobs before that, Secretary of State Police, and I was offered twice. And I told my wife, I promised my wife that I would retire as soon as I could. Well, as soon as I could was 2018. Mm-hmm. So to keep the marriage together, I said, well, I'm a man of my word. 2018's here, and I woke up one day and I'm like, I've had it. I really had it. The rat race, I'm done. You put a lot of effort into your job, and you just, there's no satisfaction anymore. Even when you try to help somebody and you do make a nice arrest, and these people are grateful. For instance, one time I was sitting at a restaurant with the state police right before I retired, and a lady walks in. She goes, "Oh, you're Detective Bob." Well, it's not Bob, it's Jim, but she was the cousin of the victim that I helped out, and she remembered me, and she was there with the victim's son, her nephew, and that'd be nephew, I guess. Anyway, or cousin, but she was there with the cousin's son. So he said, "No, that's Jim. It's Jim," because he came to court too when the victim had to come to court to testify. So he was in court along with the cousin, and the cousin came up, gave me a big kiss and big hug. Oh, that's satisfying.
Sure.
But you reach a point where you're kind of numb to that, and you're like, you go to work and you do your job, and you try to do it right. And I try to do my job right. Mm-hmm. And I just reached a point where I couldn't do it anymore.
So you said, you promised your wife that in 2018, you'd retire as soon as you could, and 2018 came, and you took advantage of that. So what kind of impact do you think the job had on your home life?
Oh, it was very hard on my wife. It was very hard on me. I tried to be with I have 2 kids. I tried to be with them and show up at functions for them whenever I could. And I was pretty good about it, you know. And I worked for good bosses that understood. So they give me an hour here and there, you know, to go home, take care, or go to school and watch the volleyball game. So it was still hard, especially on my wife. She took a lot of I don't know, aggravation, I guess, a lot of stress. I'd come home upset, try to tell her about scenes, because when we're short of detectives, you got to take anything that comes in. When your boss calls you out and said you got to go to a homicide scene. Okay, you go out to homicide scene, you see somebody that had 15 bullet holes in them, the head blown off, whatever. It's not nice. You go home and it's hard to diffuse. It's hard to come down from that, you know. Or if you're chasing somebody, it's got a gun, and you turn around, they turn around with the gun, and you're like, no, you know, you got your gun out. Should I kill this person? Should I take this person's life? It hits you. It grinds on you. So,
Looking back, do you have any regrets when you look back at your career? Anything you wish you would have done differently?
yeah, there are quite a few, but
Give me one. Give me one.
give you one. Well, I'll piss people off any way I go on this one. I probably should have taken the state police Secretary of State Police job when offered.
Yeah.
Twice. Once I should have taken it.
So you don't, and you retire, but you end up going to 2 other law enforcement agencies. Talk about that a little bit.
Oh, right. I went to Lake County Forest Preserve Police, Rangers they call them, and I was there for like a month. The drive was horrible. I couldn't get up 4 o'clock in the morning to get there by 6. I couldn't do that every day, so I was a very short time. Then I was with the Illinois Commerce Commission Police, and yeah, it was a good job. I mean, you know, good bosses, and I couldn't. The type of work was not for me. That's all.
How'd your wife feel about you retiring, but then staying in law enforcement for a couple of more years?
She wanted me to go a different direction.
Yeah, yeah.
Non-sworn, which
Okay.
you know, no gun.
Yeah, yeah.
She wanted me to do that, but yeah, I told her, I said, well, I want to try these out and see what happens, and it happened.
Do you miss the job?
I do, but I couldn't work in Chicago today.
What do you miss about the job?
The satisfaction of helping people. You had the authority to help others, and you had the resources to help others. Now I just sit at home and, you know, see it on TV set. Whatever happens, or get a phone call from a friend of mine. You know, I still get called. You have any ideas who did this? You know.
What are you doing now?
Nothing. Sit at home and take care of my grandkid.
That's not nothing.
Well,
It's important. That's
Something.
important. Do you have any words of advice for someone that's thinking about becoming a cop, maybe thinking about becoming a Chicago cop, maybe someone who's halfway through their career and they're kind of in that funk, and maybe someone who's looking at retiring?
There's several parts to that question.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I would say, as an active police officer, don't go to domestics by yourself. Always have somebody there. From my understanding, when I was working, I didn't have a camera. On. But those cameras helped out more officers than they hurt up more officers. Keep that camera working. Try to, whenever you get a call, especially domestics, always have somebody help you out. Have backup. That covers so many bases, whether it be an offender that's going to be violent. A lot of witnesses, a lot of victims are violent. So they turn into offenders really fast too. So you want somebody else there to help you out.
Sure.
You also want somebody there as a witness in case something happens, and then you get accused of something you didn't do. And that also crosses over into the camera. So you want that camera on, to keep that camera on. Don't lie. You're going to put something on paper, just remember that paper is forever now. And it's on a computer now. It used to be paperwork, but now it's computerized. So, whatever you put on that report, just make sure it's accurate. Don't shortchange yourself, because if it gets called into court, and you get called into court to testify, and a good defense attorney said, "Why didn't you put that in your report, office?" And well, I don't know, you got no explanation for it. Why didn't you put it in a report? Just put it in a report. Whether it makes the offender look good or bad, just put it in a report.
What about the guy who's thinking about becoming a cop? Any advice for him or her?
No, like I said, I wouldn't go to Chicago now. There's so many restraints. The political atmosphere there is horrible. Money's good, but benefits are good. I do suburbs, state police. I go feds. I know the FBI is hiring. Border Patrol is hiring. So I try to fit into an agency where I think I'd be a good fit in. A lot of agencies they have their own personalities. So you want to go somewhere where you think you're going to be a good fit. You don't want to go somewhere where every day you hate it, every day I don't like that person. You don't want that. You got a hard enough job, you got a hard enough life, especially if you're married. Just do yourself a favor, go somewhere where you can adapt into that agency real well.
What about someone who's looking to retire, and any advice for them?
Yeah, if you're young enough, make sure you got a job after retirement. Make sure financially you're sound. Make sure you're mentally ready for the retirement, because it is a big step. All of a sudden, everything changes. Being a police officer, you have a lot of authority, a lot of control, a lot of power. You do, and when you're given that star and you get your retired ID, you give that all up. And it's hard to get away from that, because then, you can't go down the street and if you see a robbery in progress, well, you could take action, but you're not, you don't do it. I would say, you could, but let the police do it. You're not the police anymore.
Jim, thank you for sitting down with me and sharing the story of your career. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.